Hello and welcome to Keep Hope Alive podcast. Boy, do we have a show for you. I've got Miss Jay Walker here with us today. And boy, does she have a story for us. We're going to dive in to her health journey pretty soon. But I do have a question for you, Jay. Out of
All
the
right.
past, let's see, 15 years, how many weddings have you been to?
I've only been to one. I've only been to my sister's wedding.
Oh, okay. And usually when guests are walking into the ceremony part, they have to sign this one thing. What is that one thing they have to sign?
Guest book?
Yay! Okay. Well, one of our biggest sponsors here, their name is Life on Record, com. And what they do, instead of having a guest book, they have a vintage rotary phone they put out for the guests to pick it up and leave a message. Congratulations on your big day, many years of happiness. Or you might get a groomsman saying, dude, it's about time to put a ring on her finger. Right next to the phone, they have a QR scan code that your guests can take their own mobile device, scan it, and they can leave a message before or after the wedding also. Now, I'm talking about weddings, but this can be used for any event whatsoever. Now, what they do after collecting those voices, the congratulations, they'll either burn it on a 12-inch vinyl record or put it on a keepsake speaker. I call it the little boom box, which is really cute. You have to return the phone, but you get the phone number for 1 year, which it works for all around the world, which is nice. And then, and the greatest thing starts at $99. That's the best price. I look at that and go, oh my gosh, that is such a great thing. And the phones, I wish I had one here with me right now. They're adorable. They're like gold and black and antique looking, and it makes it so much fun. But to find out more information about them and what it looks like, visit www.lifeonrecord.com. All right. So my biggest question for you is who is Jay?
That's a complicated question. I think that there's a lot of answers to that, honestly. Um, I think that, right now I'm a college student. I'm studying to be a family and relationship counselor with a certification in sex therapy. And I'm also a podcaster and an author and a lot of other things, but the biggest thing that people tend to notice when I, walk into a store or into a classroom or whatever is that I'm completely blind. So that's a big one.
Yeah, and I know a girl I went to school with, she was blind also. And I always wondered like what that's like. I know she was on the show with Tara Banks also, that model one. Oh, I forgot the name of it.
Oh, America's Next Top Model.
Yes, yes. I forgot what place she got. I think it was either third or fourth place or something like that. But I was just like, that's amazing.
That's so cool.
So, I mean, right, what was it like for it getting diagnosed? How long have you been blind?
So I went blind when I was 15 years old. Before then, I had 20/20 vision. I was completely fine, didn't even wear glasses. Never had an issue. And when I was 15 years old, I started getting really bad GI symptoms or gastrointestinal symptoms, which was basically just like bloody diarrhea, vomiting, severe stomach pain, like anything you can imagine. And I was basically just crippled for like 3 weeks, I think it was. And one day on December 12th, I looked at my mom and I said, we need to go to the hospital because something is wrong. And when we got to the hospital, I started to swell rapidly from my mucous membranes, including my eyes, and it cut off the circulation to my optic nerves, which left me completely blind. And
Whoa.
they honestly, after after a long road, they still don't really know what it is. They think that I am patient zero for a new autoinflammatory disease.
Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh my gosh. I am so sorry. Back in after I had my daughter, I got Crohn's disease.
Mm.
And they were like, you're going to have to use an enema every day the rest of your life. And I thought, over my dead body, am I sticking that thing up my butt every day?
Mm.
That
Mm-hmm.
was just me being stubborn. I was like, my quality of life felt like it went to heck and back. And it was hard because right after that, I mean, it was a gallstone removal and I had one stuck, and then it turned into Crohn's, and that limited itself and went to ulcerative colitis. So
Mm-hmm.
I know the pain associated. I know you probably had to go through colonoscopies and
Yes.
endoscopies also. I don't know if your doctor was as mean. I remember having to drink the chug, you can't eat. But every time you're in the waiting room to get that, they had the cooking show on. I was like, how evil. Like
I
you're starving waiting.
when I did have to do a colonoscopy when I after I went blind and I was in the hospital waiting to figure out what was going on. They were running a bunch of tests, so they ended up doing a colonoscopy, but I they only gave me 12 hours to clean myself out. And instead of drinking the fluid, they put a tube in my nose. And the first time they tried to put the tube in, it got stuck. And I was like screaming and my nose was bleeding and it was a whole thing. And they had to basically like pull it out and do it again. And then I don't even remember like the colonoscopy itself. I think I just blacked it out, like blocked it out of my mind.
They should have gave you anesthesia to block it out too. So,
Yeah.
I mean, those are really, I just got done doing an endoscopy last week. So, but I always tell them, hit me with the good stuff. I don't want to feel
Yeah.
anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like just knowing what they have to do to make sure we're okay. So I just find that so different because it hurt one of the nerves and caused your eyesight. So, but being called a number zero, not knowing what to do, that's that's hard. And it's hard to hear that too. But you have strength and you're a warrior fighting through it, which is amazing. So that glow on your face, like, I'm a podcaster, I'm an author, I can do this and this. I'm not going to let it sit here and define who I am as a person. But talking about the story does help and it helps heal the heart and soul. And then maybe there's somebody out there, who can relate to the story as well. So I guess you had to go through learning, what is it, Braille and everything, or new way of communicating.
Yeah, I went to the Kansas State School for the Blind for about a year and a half, and in that time I learned Braille, I learned mobility skills to learn how to like navigate and work with a cane, and I learned technology and how to work a computer. And but along with learning all that stuff, I was still in high school, so I was my junior year of high school I took 13 classes so I
Hmm.
could graduate on time. And I took like Braille, mobility, technology, but I also took algebra and AP English and AP Psych and that kind of stuff. So it really was like thinking back on it, like now, uh, I was way too ambitious for my own good. I think it genuinely was like spite from a white man telling me I couldn't do it, and I was like, I don't think so. And then I took 13 classes and graduated on time. So
Yay, look at you, you rock star. I kid around with my boyfriend right now. He's older than me, but he decided to go back to college. And he told me something funny the first day that one of the kids thought he was the professor. And I'm like, well, us older people, we can go out there and still get our education and everything. But that's great. I learned something new from you just now that they had a whole university class to teach and everything.
mhm.
So, as far as driving, I've always wanted to know this. Is it so somebody has to drive you the rest of your life, or?
Yes. So I obviously I can't get a license or anything because I can't pass the vision tests, but they generally like most cities have like buses or Uber or anything like that, except for the one city that I am in right now that seems to be in the middle of Oshkosh Island and has absolutely like no semblance to the rest of society. And there's no Uber and there's like a bus that doesn't come anywhere near me. And so it's like if you don't have transportation, or you don't have somebody to take you, you have to learn how to walk. And and I don't like the phrase like, well, if I can't do it, then I can't do it. It's like, well, if you can't do it, then figure out a different way to do it.
Yeah, I like that too. So as far as that, you talked about podcasts. Are you working a main job also?
So I'm currently a student, and so I'm a full-time student, and I also work on campus at one of the offices. And so, but all I really do is like work behind a computer and schedule and do meetings and stuff like that. Nothing super important. But then I like to call it my full-time job because it really takes up most of my energy, and that is podcasting.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, podcasting, it does feel like a full-time job. And especially, I think it's the great part when we go to, what is it, podcast guests and say, hey, I'm looking for speakers. And then it becomes overwhelming. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
great. And I know for me, like, I will send a letter to people for people to come in. But after like so many emails, and it's not my fault, Facebook, but they turn me off. They're like, you cannot send, this is not sendable. And I'm like, well, I don't want people to think I'm not thinking of them. I am. I just can't send it. So I was like, we got to fix that. If the world's in need, we got to be our superheroes and get to everybody. So,
I agree.
but yeah, it brings a sense of joy. And I know I got to bring up my mother on this. She said something and I don't agree with it. And she's like, why do you even do it? It doesn't bring you money. I go because it's God's work and I enjoy it and it makes my heart full, was my answer to her. So really it's really not about the money. I think every podcaster wish there was a way, and I'm sure there is a way, but when you're doing it and getting started and hearing other people's stories, there's the reward is in your heart, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
best medicine. So, but yeah, I'm gonna definitely be listening to yours. Let me write this down. Again, it was called the
It is called Blind Dates with Jaywalker.
Blind Dates. So tell me about that. Blind dates. How many blind dates, huh?
So we have, I think we're on episode 8 this week. Um,
Okay.
and the podcast aims around the visually impaired and blind community and tries to create an environment where people without vision or with low vision feel as though they have a sense of perspective and or feel as though that their opinions are heard and understood and that their experiences are validated. Because I feel like when you Google or look up like blind podcasts, like all you get are, things about technology or things about Braille. And it's like we are more than just our disability, I guess is a way to say. So the whole point of
Right.
the podcast is to take those voices that aren't usually heard, whether it's a chef, whether it's a ghost hunter, whether it's a psychic, whether it's a mom or a dad or whatever. And the whole point is to be like, this is a person who's living their life day to day, and you can too.
That is amazing. Beautifully said. So I love that concept. I really do. And I want my listeners to jump on and listen to one of the podcasts. So 8 of them. Is this got do you do the editing and stuff? I don't do editing. I believe the way we are right now, that's how it's gonna be. But I know some people will do the editing and all that. So
Yeah, no, I actually was very hesitant to make a podcast for many years because I never knew how to do the editing, but I finally my mom works with a guy his real name isn't Jukebox, but that's what he goes by. His name is Jukebox, and he helps me edit, and he basically runs our network. So I belong to a network called JG's Lounge, and there's about 11 to 13 shows that range from music podcasts to um, real life and anything you can really think of. I mean, there's 13 of them. And so, but he's really kind of helped me get off the ground, and I pretty much owe all of my quote unquote success to him.
Oh, well, be happy and proud for yourself too. You make this happen, and it's just beautiful. So, um, going even before you went to the college, you finished up school, correct? Or was
Uh,
that different?
so when I was in high school, I was going to the Kansas State School for the Blind. So I was going half the day at my regular public high school and half the day at this little campus.
Got you. So I just want to make sure everything was when you were adjusting to this. I mean, were there things that you said, oh my gosh, I can't do anymore? But you had to change your mindset and go, you know what? I can. Maybe you use an example. You may not be able to see the movie, but you turn that negative into a positive again. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. Well, I never wanted to go to the Kansas State School for the Blind. I was so against it. I was like, I don't need this. I'll figure it out. Like, these people don't understand me. They think I'm stupid, blah, 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 blah. And after a year and a half of, I basically had to just buckle down. And like, was it my favorite place to go every day? Absolutely not. I despised it. But if I hadn't gone, I wouldn't have learned the skills I needed to be successful. And even though like a lot of my success, I take to myself because I was the one who sat down every night and learned the Braille when nobody else was there to teach me. And I was the one who played with my computer for 6 hours a day so I could figure out how to work it. But those teachers were still the ones to give me the lessons and give me the guidance and give me that place to start. And I think that that was really
Mhm.
necessary, and it was really difficult for me to finally grasp, like, "All right, I gotta be here. Let's do it."
Yeah, definitely. So I want to backtrack because that zero thing you said, zero autoimmune disease, right? How
Mhm.
did they come up with that? Because you're like the first patient that has ever been through it, or
Yeah, so, they originally believed me to have something called hereditary angioedema, which is basically a disease where, um, you swell when you're under high amounts of stress, and there's a lot of science and lots of things to do with, like, C1 inhibitors and lipids and things that I don't understand, but the basic point is that when you're under high amounts of stress or you have something traumatic happen to your body, whether it's a paper cut, whether it's a car crash, whether it's whatever, you will swell. And some people only swell on like one point of their body, other people swell all over, some people swell externally, some people swell internally. And so my symptoms matched, that of hereditary angioedema, and the medications used to treat that disease actually work to help lessen when I swell. So after doing all the genetic testing and, coming back, they found that I didn't have any of the markers to show that I had that disease. But because my symptoms are so similar and because the medications work for me, they decided that I am probably going to end up be patient zero for type 4 hereditary angioedema.
I'm like going, doctors, I don't understand this either, you know. I really hearing these, stories and people's journeys, and I told you a little bit about mine too. Then when a doctor said, "Hey, we don't know what to do with her," or I even had a hospital, well-known one. Your doctor sent us a referral. Why are you coming? And once I opened my mouth and said, they were like, "There's no code for this. Let me call you back." Hey, it's been 2 months. I'm still waiting for that phone call back, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I
It's just
definitely understand that.
yeah, so I mean, we have doctors, they go to school, they're doing their jobs, they're getting the education, but sometimes it's hard for us when we have something really going on and we're trying to find that help. We feel like a ping pong ball going all
Mhm.
around the map. And then I know for me, it was the last time I had insurance, I felt like I was more at the family doctor saying, Why isn't insurance like letting me go? And the specialist I had to see was like booked out for 3 or 4 months. It's just
Hmm.
I didn't even get to use it. So it makes it very, very hard. So
Yeah,
um
I remember when I first went into the emergency room, they pumped me with Benadryl first because I was swelling and they thought I was having
uh-huh.
an allergic reaction. So they pumped me with Benadryl, and when that didn't work, they gave me an EpiPen, and when that didn't work, they gave me 1,000 milligrams of steroids for 7 days straight. And that didn't work, obviously, and I just kept swelling and it cut off the circulation to my optic nerves. But the reason why, like, a simple education like would have saved my eyesight, because had they known about hereditary angioedema or any of the diseases that like kind of fall into that category that are treated with the medications that are treated with it, like even though it's a relatively rare disease, like there's enough people in the world that have it that it should be known about. And the fact that I went into the hospital and they were like, we literally have no idea what to do, and I lost my eyesight because of that, like, is still very uh conflicting for me, I guess is a way to say it. Like there should have been some sort of education to know about this. And I mean, like all I can do now is like try to educate, but in hindsight, I'm like, I really wish somebody would have known about this.
I hear you. I hear you 100%. Um, I know my doctor, one of the doctors out of the three I was seeing last week, one felt the most honest, right? He's like, we can't do it. It is a life-threatening surgery. We need to have a bariatric doctor, but because if there's been no insurance, you need to wait. And I remember rewording my phrase as I left. Just pretend, doctor, that you're married to me. What would you say about me going home? And he goes, I would tell you to get to a doctor fast. So then you have the doctors like, oh, we saw your blood work and da 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 da. You're free to go. Just follow up with so and so. And that becomes a lingering thing. Why do I want to go through the journey when doctors see what's wrong? So learning that my doctor messed up my surgery, and just like you, your doctor, they didn't know what it was. If they had more research, this all would have been preventable.
Hmm.
But bringing awareness, is the biggest thing I know that you can do. Me too. Being a podcaster, we get to talk about it more, right?
Heck yeah.
So, but we can't let the energy suck us down, even though it wants to all the time. And
Hmm.
a lot of people will go through challenges like this, you not quite understand what it is. But um, just really quick, I'm going to jump into a quick break. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
All right. So one of our biggest sponsors here is Snap Bands, and they look like this, guys. They come in different colors. They have different mantra words. I'm wearing faith, and there's another one, hope. The one for faith, you can only get that word with the promo code called KHA, meaning keep hope alive. So, with those bracelets, the world is a stressful place for everyone with work, school, relationships, health issues, finances, the nightly news. There's anxiety every day. Negative thoughts can keep popping into our head over and over again. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy of anyone loving me. Bad things always happen to me. If you ever have these types of thoughts, you're not alone. More than 40 million Americans are diagnosed with an anxiety disorder. Anxieties, worries, and fears can stop you from finding inner peace and achieving your true potential. You deserve to live your best life. Finally, there's an amazing new bracelet called Snap Bands that was invented to help you reduce anxiety, control OCD, and calm stress. Snap Bands are cognitive behavioral therapy tool based on proven brain neuroscience, and the way snap bands work is amazing. Snap bands bracelet look like a stylish piece of jewelry on your wrist, but its unique design actually hides a secret elastic band that sits right on your inner wrist, which is a pressure point to your brain's nervous system. When you give the elastic a light tug, you'll feel a very gentle, soft vibration on your inner wrist. That gentle vibration is all you need to reduce your anxiety. And here's why. Did you know that the human brain can only deal with one emergency at a time? Well, whenever you feel unwanted negative thoughts in your head, gently snap the elastic on your inner wrist and it forces your brain to refocus on the gentle physical sensation you feel, which instantly disrupts an unwanted negative thought from your brain. Now, they have 7 different mantra words that you can choose for on your bracelet, but 8 with that past one, and it's being faith with that promo code KHA. But they have believe, blessing, dream, fearless, hope, love, and peace. So when you choose the word that most resonates with you, you can use your band and you can be hiding. I do it when I'm at the hospital. I'm a hard stick, so I always pray for the person who has to come and stick me. Please don't make it 6 times in a full lesson, and I'll snap my band. But you can say things like, I believe in myself. I am a blessing. I am fearless. I will always have hope. So with snap bands, they come in all different beautiful colors. You can wear these all day long, which is nice. They're made out of a vegan leather. So if you have sensitive skin, it's not going to do anything to irritate it. Visit their store. Oh, it's also waterproof. I take showers, do the dishes in it. But visit their website and store at www.snapbands.com. That is spelled SNAPPBANDZ.com. And every time you do purchase one, they give a portion to the leading mental health organizations to snap out the stigma. So thank you, Snap Bands. We love you. So let's get back with you, Jay. And I can see the glow in yourself when you talk about the books and the podcast together. Those are the things that make you very happy. What about hobbies other than those two? Do you have any hobbies you love doing?
Um, Writing is my big one, honestly, like, it is my go-to. I spend the vast majority of my time doing it, even if there's, like, the TV on in the background or music on or something, like, I usually have my hands on my computer writing something. Um, but for a couple of years when I was in high school, I did competitive archery while I was blind, um, and I haven't done that in a couple of years, but I've really been thinking about it and, it's a really cool hobby and I might want to get back into it sometime soon.
Hey.
But I also do a lot of cooking and um I hang out with my cat quite a bit.
I love it. I love it. Pets are always fun to have and stuff. I mean, I was just looking, I grew up with epilepsy, and my dog knows before my seizure comes. And I don't know, she's never been trained to be a service dog,
Hmm.
but she's helped me with 2 of them. And now that I'm looking for a place to live, I think it's ridiculous. They want people to have pets, but why are you charging for them to live there too?
Exactly.
So I laugh at that. Today I was like, wow, they want 300 per pet and then 25 per pet for the month. I was like, dude, they're not working. These dogs need to get a job too.
Yeah, the
But
the other day, I was in the hospital all last week, and the morning that I started having really severe pain and swelling and issues, I was kind of like in a state of hysterics, like on my hands and knees on the floor, like really in a lot of pain. And my cat was just screaming and running
oh,
around, and like I've never heard that noise come out of her before. And I was like, she knows what's up. They're so smart.
they are. I bet your cat sleeps very close to you at night.
Yeah, she does.
So do my dogs. My dog will even attempt to go in between my legs climb up and put her like nozzle right on my belly. I go, do you know something I don't know? And it's a deal breaker for me now. Like if I'm moving on and living, I used to hear no dogs on the bed. I'm like, you're not going to save me from a seizure. My dogs are with me,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
I'm not going to ask you to lick my eye when I have a seizure either. So, Mm. But those things, I love how pets are very intuitive, empathic about that stuff too. So, but yeah, archery, that sounds fun. The last time I saw anything with archery, somebody was, I watched soap operas and Jacqueline is her name. And she was pregnant. So it was a gender reveal, but she had the balloon with the confetti of what it was going to be, like right on the bullseye. And they did a whole video of it, and her little son was holding her leg, and they were doing the photo shoot as they were pulling, the bow back and everything. And then it went slow motion and popped. I think she had a boy, but it was so
That's so cool.
beautiful. Yeah. And you don't see it much in Texas. I did live in Little Elm, and their high school had two boards. It's not like they leave the archery boats out there for anybody. You have to have your
Hmm.
own, but definitely, I thought that was a great idea and being able to do that. I mean, I can't even play darts. The last time, I don't know what they call it, rabbit something. I got it in the bullseye, and the next one I threw, it went into the darts little, where the thing,
I know
like,
what you're
I was
talking
like,
about.
how did I do that?
Hmm. That was
Somebody
the
called it
most, that
something.
was, yeah, that was the day that I realized, how powerful I was the day that I Robin Hooded my first
Robin Hood it,
bow.
that's it.
Yeah.
Why was I calling it rabbit? Robin Hood it. That's awesome. But things like that, singing, I love singing. So I try to do karaoke every now and then, get out there and use my voice. But it's funny doing podcasts. If I've done two or three out of the day and I tried to do some Guns N' Roses, I can hear my voice crack. And I'm like, I'm like, I do podcasts, everybody. I'm so sorry. My singing voice is gone. So, so let's see. Any new things coming up in the future, meaning in the next 2 to 3 years? You're gonna continue writing?
I'm going to continue writing. I'm hoping to have my first book called Pestilence. I'm hoping to have that published within the next
Hey.
year or so. I'm hoping to have my memoir. I haven't picked a title for that yet, but it's supposed to be like a handbook for the blind. I'm hoping to have that out within the next 3 to 4 years. And but over the next couple of years, I'm just going to be graduating. I'm going to be looking for master's programs here soon. Um,
Yay.
Hopefully I'll still be doing the podcast in a couple of years. So,
Yeah, it's funny. Like I want to continue it, and I thought it was funny. We're both at the hospital last week, right? And
mhm.
I couldn't get my laptop. Would I have done a podcast in my own room in my nightie? Probably so. That's who I am. But it was funny because they're giving me paperwork for Dallas County. And I go, well, I live in Collins, so this is not going to work. So I use the back of the paper and start making notes for my podcast. And the nurse walks in, oh, do you want me to make you a notebook? And I was like, you would do that? And she goes, yeah, you can have my good pen. And I was like,
Oh,
okay. So I was just
okay.
jotting tons of notes and just all these ideas. And I remember the doctor is like, oh, you're working on something. And I go, well, I choose not to hear the negativity so much and choose what I can do positive when I get back home. And he's like, I like that. I go, well, yeah. I go, because it's hard, I hate knowing for myself that I'm on standby and they're like, oh, come back to Parkland now. If you ever been in Texas, I mean, the hotel has a major, a hotel, hospital has a major upgrade. Um, but it's the hardest place to be at. I had to wait 13 hours in the waiting room.
Oh my
And
gosh.
13, yes. And because my other doctor said they will know the answer for sure. So it had to be something that you set in your brain and go, okay, I got this. And then I was there for 3 days. But when you come out of it not knowing still, I think that's the hardest thing. And, you hear about Mayo Clinic, oh, go there, they're going to help you. I feel like just walking over to a chiropractor at this point. Hey, what's up with me?
Honestly,
You
yeah,
just,
I'm ready to go to like the holistic doctors. I'm ready to start going to like gurus and psychics and stuff. Like I'm done.
yeah, that's what I look at. I will sometimes write, I'm done. If something's going to hurt me again, I tell myself I'm not going to the hospital. My mom would read a book when I was younger called The Boy Who Cried Wolf.
Mhm.
And it was a good lesson to be learned, but I'm not the boy or the girl crying wolf every time I have to go to the hospital. I got kidney stones because my pouch was done wrong from my surgery also. So my body doesn't know how to process food correctly like the human person. And the urologist is like, it's just going to send signals to make kidney stones and drop them each time. And I'm
Mhm.
like, great. And that pain comes either I feel it and they're small and I can pass them, but the big ones, I'm like, I want to have 8 babies right. Like, bring it
Yeah,
on.
seriously. Oh my
It's
gosh, I can't even
craziness.
imagine. Yeah.
It's very hard to do that, but
When I
definitely.
was in
Now,
the
I do have more questions though. Like I want to ask about the optic nerve. Like, did you feel a pain behind your eye before this happened?
So it started with, funny enough, it started with my teeth. Um, I remember I was sitting in the hospital room and it felt like something was like pushing against my teeth, trying to push them out of my gums. And it was so painful and a rash started to spread like on my forehead and my nose started bleeding and the lights in the room started to get really like fuzzy and like kind of like way too bright almost. And I remember having to like constantly keep my eyes shut because I was so like sensitive to the light and eventually I passed out. But before like when I was still very like in and out, very loopy, didn't really understand what was going on, they took the pressures in my eyes and the normal pressures of, someone's eye is 12 to 24 and mine was at 86.
Oh
And
my.
so they were literally falling out of my face, falling onto my cheeks, out of their sockets. I looked like a Wile E. Coyote getting hit with a mallet. Like it was pretty dramatic. And I was pretty unconscious for most of it, but on occasion I would wake up and I would feel, or I really wouldn't feel it. It was more like audible, like I would hear, like I heard them like clipping like my skin. I heard them like doing the procedure. Like I didn't really feel anything, but I
Yeah.
definitely like was able to understand what was going on.
Oh, that's so scary. You've been through a lot, a lot, a lot. I can't even imagine. I know falling down and having a seizure and hitting my head against the bathroom tile. My eye was all bloody, and I remember my ex going, "You don't want to see your face." And I was like, "Why?" And I remember the first time looking, I'm like, breathe in, breathe out. Yeah, that's all I could do.
Mhm.
But, you know, um, recently, and I don't mind sharing my health right now. If there's somebody out there listening can fix me, have at it. But what I thought were TIAs just on the left eye, I have pain underneath it. And every now and then I get this white cloud that comes and then goes. And I
Oh.
notice I can't read as good. I'm getting, uh, here's my cell phone. I have to hold it back to look at it. I
Mhm.
couldn't read a gift card number nor the phone number, and I had to give it to my boyfriend. And I go, I don't know what's happening. I'm only 46. This shouldn't be happening to me. So, but I I can only imagine. So I have another question just because I want to know. Like, I really want to know. I've heard some people who are blind, they can see just tad and make out a tiny color, or it's black and white. Does that ever happen with you or?
So there's two ways of that. So there's like low vision people who can still see shadows, who can still see light, who can still see whatever, or who can still see color. But then there's something that I have called Charles-Bonnet syndrome. And that only happens to people who are completely blind and who have had vision in the past. And basically what that is my brain doesn't understand why my eyes aren't sending it any messages to like see. So my brain is responding by sending back like colors and shapes and whatever. So for instance, right now, like I don't just see pitch black. Like it right now it's like green and there's like purple hues and like hexagonal
Yay.
patterns everywhere and
Well, I have a purple background and the green is probably green screen, but there's only like a dash of gold above my head and to the left of me, one line of gold. So that does make a lot of sense. So, I mean, being able to see the colors and, try to put the pieces together. So. But yeah, definitely. I am so happy you were able to share this. Do you have any advice for our listeners who might be going through different challenges and learning how to keep their energy positive and uplifted as they go through a journey like this? What would you tell them?
um I would say the biggest thing is that it's not the end of the world. You're not the worst case scenario. It's not the worst thing that could have happened. Even though it seems like it, there are absolutely worse things that could have happened. And you have the opportunity to take what has happened to you and really strive to do better for yourself and for other people. And so it can be the end of the world if you decide that this is your reality and you're going to sit and be sad and do nothing. Or you can take what has happened to you, turn it into motivation, and decide, I'm going to learn new things. I'm going to create new relationships. I'm going to have new experiences. And then from then on, your life will be different, but it will be just as enjoyable, if not more so. So I think my one key of advice would be to don't just sit in your own reality. Try to make it what you want it to be. And if that is impossible or close to impossible, find a way to do it or find a way to get somewhere close because nothing is truly impossible. And I mean, I really am like the spokesperson for nothing is impossible. My eyes literally burst out of my face when I was 15. Nothing is impossible.
Exactly, exactly. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, your podcast, and your books. I'm going to be putting that onto our website and everything. And remember, if you have questions for Jay or myself, you can always call 833-780-HOPE, which is 4673. We'd be happy to get those answered for you. And girl, I promise I'll be like, hey, you got a message and everything. And we'll make it a fun little event and answer them and everything. So, and I love it, Blind Date with Jay Walker is the name of your series, right? The podcast
Yes.
series. Yeah, I love that. That's perfect. So, but definitely also quickly wanted to thank all the other sponsors that help keep hope afloat. As I mentioned before, we have lifeonrecord.com, your interactive guest book for any event. Check them out. We also had Snap Bands at www.snapbands.com, the bracelet that helps you reduce anxiety, OCD, PTSD, and works with cognitive thinking as well. Then we have Ogden Ventures LLC. Marcus Ogden, he is a former NFL player, keynote speaker, best-selling author, and a podcast host. I'm going to spell his name. I always call Marquise by accident because the Q throws me off, so I'm dishonest there. But it's www. Marcus is Marqueus, last name Ogden, OGDEN.com. So check out his information. We have bridalshowsinc.com in the Dallas Fort Worth area. If you are planning an event or a wedding, come to one of the trade shows. She has about 5 or 6 out of the year. You get to meet your vendors. They showcase their work. Usually there was a wonderful fashion show too. So check them out. Our next one is milesandSmilesEvents.com. Miss Deborah Rose. Her background is an investigation, but on the side, for many events, she does handwriting analysis and lipstick reading. So I've seen her in action and my jaw dropped. She got me right on the point. Our next one is Bryce Harney at www.brycemagic.com. He is traveling all around the United States right now. You've probably seen him on TV. He's a magician and mind mentalist, and a good one at that. So you can even search on YouTube and watch some of those tricks. Our next one is richmondpunch.net. He graduated from the Juilliards. He is a violinist. He's been doing this for over 30 years. And he's performed in front of 1 million people before and also 2 slots on Lifetime TV shows. Our next one is tkhairsalon.com. If you need a haircut, men, women, children, hair dye, see, I got my blonde is covering up my gray, perms or anything like that, they're the ones to go to. So find us on our website at www.keephopealivepodcast.com. We are in season 15, and what a way to start the season with you, Jay. It's so wonderful to have you on. Wherever you guys find your podcast, you will be able to find us. So once again, thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Bye, guys. Love and light. Mwah.